Hello and welcome to another episode of It's Tea Time. I'm your host, Jonathan Sellers, and we're going to start things off, as always, joined by the Director of Athletics for Troy University, John Hartwell. And John, I know you've got to be an excited guy, especially after what it turned out to be a great Saturday night in Trojan Arena.
Yeah, it really was. A great weekend in general. I know we lost one out of 4 baseball games, but really a very exciting weekend, and certainly Saturday evening, and both our men's and women's teams, and certainly the men beating a previously undefeated in Sun Belt play Georgia State team. Great crowd. Our second highest crowd to the opening. Second only to the opening night last year against Mississippi State. And not only a good crowd in numbers, but they really got into the game. And I certainly have to compliment our student section, who was very into the game. As Georgia State made a couple of strong runs in the second half, especially when our team was on the defensive end. That defense chant really seemed to pick up the intensity for our team. And just a great night, and certainly having a national television audience to not only showcase Trojan Arena, which we knew was going to happen, but showcase hopefully what is the rising or the emergence of Troy men's basketball again, and certainly making a statement, beating a very, very good Georgia State team. And across the board we had guys play very well. Right. But I'd be remiss if I didn't single out Jeff Malahy, because obviously a career night, 27 points, and it was ironic because last Friday Phil Cunningham and I had a conversation. They'd just gotten back from Western Kentucky, and he said, Jeff was just off last night. He got in foul trouble. He didn't get to play a whole lot of minutes. He only scored 2 points, in reference to the Thursday night game against Western Kentucky. He said, hey, but I know what kind of kid Jeff is, and he'll respond. And he said the other thing, he said, typically Jeff is not as strong sometimes on a Saturday as he is on Thursday, because 2 games within a 48-hour period, and he just plays so hard, he leaves it all out on the floor. He said, but I have a feeling tomorrow he's going to have some gas in the tank. And wow, how prophetic that was, because he truly had a career night. And certainly a lot of Tevin Calhoun had a double-double. Hunter Williams hit some huge threes. Antoine Myers was excellent off the penetration dribble and was able to create some shots for some other guys. So it was an all-around team effort. And certainly something from a men's basketball side we hope we can build on. We currently stand in 8th place, which would get us to New Orleans. And I know this team has higher aspirations than that. They turn around and go back on the road for a Thursday night game at Lafayette, and then go to Mobile on Saturday to play South Alabama. So that was the front half of it, and plenty exciting. And between games, I actually talked to a couple of folks and said, gosh, I don't know if my heart can take another game like that. I would love to see our women get out to a comfortable lead and cruise, and boy,
that's
right
exactly
on cue,
what they did.
They got out, and certainly Ashley Beverly Kelly and Joanna Harden, have been a 1-2 punch the entire season, and those two were tremendous, and an outstanding performance by women's basketball, and I believe they are now in a 4-way tie for 6th place. Oh, wow. So really climbing the charts. They make the same road swing this weekend, Lafayette and South Alabama. So looking for both of those teams to continue to climb in the standings as we approach tournament time in New Orleans.
Well, 2 more things quick about basketball. Student section, you kind of hit on that, but I think that really showed what kind of atmosphere Trojan Arena can really be if they show up and show out for every home game. I mean, it was great to see.
It really was, and that kind of performance, I would venture to think folks, after seeing that game and being there and experiencing it live, are going to say, hey, let's keep going to Troy basketball. Right. It's an exciting brand of basketball, a lot of fun. So, 3 home games left. Next Thursday, Louisiana Monroe here for a women's and men's doubleheader. And then the following week, Thursday and Saturday, Arlington and Texas State. Okay. So, and again, all 3 of those games, both on the men's and women's side, are people we're competing against that are kind of right there in our sights in terms of league standings.
And one more thing to talk about. Trojans play at Mobile on Saturday, so it's not too far of a trip for Trojan fans to get down there. And if you're watching online, as many of you I'm sure do, maybe in Mobile can just go right down to the road to the Mitchell Center and go check it out.
Absolutely. It's not far away. I'm planning on being there with my family, kind of taking in a little bit of Mardi Gras on Friday night and Trojan basketball Saturday afternoon and evening. We are having an alumni event too. I think the women's game tips at 5. And from 3:30 to 5 at Heroes, which is right across the street on Old Shell Road from the Mitchell Center. We're going to have an alumni function there, have some hors d'oeuvres and stuff, and hope to see some Trojan faithful out there.
Exactly. It's a good place to go. It's not quite Trojan Arena, but a great place for basketball, and you can be right down there on the court and try to drown out the Jag fans a little bit. So,
absolutely.
All right, let's talk a little bit about baseball. Baseball had a pretty good weekend, 3-1 against Northern Kentucky, and some pretty standout performances on the offensive side.
Yeah, we really did, and we had a guy named the National Player of the Week, and then also the Sun Belt Player of the Week, David Hall. An outstanding series, and great to see for a guy who basically missed all of last season due to injury. Comes back literally with a bang in terms of had a home run and had some big RBIs for us. And then how about the Sunday afternoon that Joel Bennett had hit not one, not two, but 3 home runs, and that actually earned him National Player of the Week. So again, I know Coach Pierce, he's a perfectionist. He really wanted to win 4 of 4, but winning 3 of 4. And really, I think one of the exciting things is the fact, the pitching was good. Certainly, we knew pitching was going to be good. Not great, but it was good, and certainly a lot of promise there. But the big question mark coming into this season was, where was the offensive output that that we lost from Pierce and Santos and Collins? Where was that going to come from? And we had a variety of guys hit the ball this weekend and play really well. And even better, and I know this was not what Tyler wanted. Tyler Vaughn is a guy who's going to hit 370 to 400. You can bank on that. And he did not get off to a very good start this weekend. So when Tyler starts to get in the flow, those other guys can hit the baseball. I think we're going to be in pretty good shape. I
think you're exactly right. And they've got a chance to kind of get things rolling even better this weekend and back at home in another 4-game series against Central Michigan.
Yes, Central Michigan, same format as last weekend, single game Friday night, doubleheader Saturday afternoon, and then a single game Sunday. So come on out. I think it's supposed to be close to that 70-degree mark again this weekend. We had very good crowds last weekend, especially considered, yes, it was opening day, but it was also 48 degrees, I think, on Friday night. Very good crowd. Another good crowd again Saturday, and to close out Sunday. So, I encourage folks to come out. Great atmosphere and Riddle Pace Field, and come on out and support this team.
All right, let's look about the softball team. Had a pretty good weekend when they were up. In South Carolina, I believe, and now they're going to hit the road.
Jacksonville, actually.
Jacksonville.
Back-to-back weekends in Florida. They played in Jacksonville this past weekend. Came home Sunday night, and we'll turn around and leave again tomorrow to go to Gainesville to play in Florida's tournament. And among those opponents down there will be the Gators, who are the number 2 ranked team in the country. Some promise with our softball team. We played some very good innings, and then we've had a couple of innings where it's kind of come unraveled in the field, but certainly a young team, a lot of promising talent, and I look for big things from that team for the rest of the season.
And I wasn't making up South Carolina. They will go there in a couple of weeks.
Exactly.
And let's take a look at the golf teams. They begin their spring schedules this weekend.
Yes, both teams start. Coach Matt Terry's men's team starts this weekend. Actually, I think play starts on Sunday down in Jacksonville, a very good field down there. I know Oklahoma State, who's ranked number 2 in the country, will be there in that field. And Coach Terry's very excited about this team. Some veteran guys on it, along with a couple of very promising newcomers. And then on the women's side, we will open in a tournament down in Mobile against South Alabama. So.
And something that's been fun to see is I've driven by the golf course on Sunday afternoon and seen a bunch of the players out there working on their game, and it's been great to see that facility put to use.
Yeah, they really are working hard, and both our men's and women's team out there. I rode by late yesterday afternoon, and there must have been 20, 25 folks out there. These golfers on our men's and women's team trust each other, because I saw several up there on the tee box at the corner of Elm and George Wallace, and then you had several that were further out in the range, kind of off to the side and chipping at one of the greens. They obviously wouldn't want to do that if I was out there hitting balls, because I'd be spraying them everywhere.
I completely understand. Now, you said there's some stuff going on inside the workings of the athletic department, some personnel moves that you're...
Yeah, absolutely. We are in process right now of restructuring our external side and have some vacancies that we're working on filling right now. Actually, Scott Smith, our ticket manager, left to go into private business, as did Chuck Carson, who was on our development side. They both chose to go into private business. So we are currently seeking a athletics ticket manager. We are also seeking an assistant development director for special projects, really kind of the role that Mike Murphy had filled. And then we are taking what was Chuck Carson's position and expanding that position and looking at, and it, depending on the experience of the individual, could either be a senior associate AD or an associate AD for external affairs. So a lot going on. That's one component of it. The other component from an external side, and we've talked a little bit about this on here, is our transition, leaving IMG, who had handled our corporate sponsorships. We're bringing that back in-house, but we're using a consulting firm, Rockbridge Sports. They're based out of Charlottesville, Virginia. Their two partners, David Johnston and Rich Klein, are guys that have been in the business 25 years plus. I've known both of those guys for a long time. They actually were at the ground level working for CBS Sports Properties at LSU about 15 years ago, when CBS Sports Properties took over LSU. And what a lot of people don't realize is, you think LSU, gosh, they're just printing money down there. They've got all of, they sell 100,000 seats and they've got all this corporate advertising money. 15 years ago, they didn't. They were very much a mom and pop shop. These guys went in from the ground, kind of really grew that business exponentially. So we're excited about having their expertise and having them involved. And from that side, we're also currently looking for a GM and an assistant GM for what we are calling Trojan Sports Properties, which will be the sales side primarily and corporate sponsorships for that. So, a changing time, but an exciting time. And certainly our emphasis on all of those positions is revenue generation.
Right.
Obviously, the more revenues that we can generate that are plowed back into athletics, the more things we can do. And you look at those programs, dollars equal championships. There's a lot of truth to that equation there.
You're exactly right. Well, not a lot of home action this weekend, but there is one team that's going to be at home baseball. Go ahead and give us the details of their series again this weekend.
Yeah, 6 o'clock Friday evening, Central Michigan coming to town for a 4-game set. 6 o'clock Friday, 1 p.m. Doubleheader Saturday, and then 1 o'clock on Sunday as well. So come on out. I think the weather this weekend is supposed to be pretty nice in Troy, so get out and support that team. Again, as you mentioned, hey, if you're in the Mobile area or even here in the Troy area and want to drive down and see some basketball, the women play at South Alabama 5 o'clock on Saturday, followed by the men's team against South Alabama at 7:30.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, and hopefully we'll have some good things to talk about next week.
Absolutely, Jonathan. Have a good week.
All right. Stay tuned for more coming up on It's Tea Time. Welcome back to It's Tea Time, and now we're going to take a look at the men's basketball team. We're going to speak with the assistant coach, Billy Begley. And Coach, thanks for being here today, especially after a big win.
Yeah, thanks for having me. We're feeling it's a good win Saturday, great atmosphere, it's a lot of fun, and hopefully we can keep it going.
Let's just talk about that win a little bit. You had some guys really step up big, especially Jeff Malahy, Tevin Calhoun, just a bunch of different players contribute. We
did. We had a lot of guys, like you said, Tevin, Jeff, Hunter Williams, guys that came up and really stepped up and made shots. And, Hunter Williams made some big shots down the stretch, but also Hunter Williams had a great floor game. He had 6 assists and 1 turnover, and there was a lot of stats in that game, after watching film. There's a lot of things we did that don't show up on the stat sheet, a lot, but there was a lot of things that we did to really help put ourselves in a good spot to win the game.
And it had to feel good. I mean, not only were they the top team in the conference, they were riding a 14-game winning streak overall, 10-0 in the conference, and you got to do that in national TV on ESPN2 in front of a great crowd.
It did. As I said, the crowd was great. I mean, anytime you can have a home court advantage like that, it really provides, that sixth man. And that sixth man really plays a role when you come into big games like that. So, like I said, it was a great win. It was a lot of fun. Our guys really enjoyed it, and we fed off the crowd.
And I know as a coach, you got to move on from that win, and you got to worry about Louisiana Lafayette, who's coming up on Thursday, and they're a good opponent. You faced them here a few weeks ago, and they've got some NBA caliber type players on their team. Can you just talk about that one?
Right. We told them after the game, actually told them yesterday that Saturday's over with. I mean, it counts as one win and one loss. It didn't give us 2 wins on Saturday. Right. We know we got to turn our focus to Thursday, because you're right. They have 2 guys who are pros, and Sean Long and Alfred Payton, 2 guys who are as talented as anybody. And we play them at their place.
Right.
So we've got to work it out for us. We're not. It's the thing about a championship team is that you're always looking forward. We've always told our teams that we got to keep moving up. We don't want to go down. We want to keep moving up, and that's what we got to. It's we're not changing anything in our preparation. You got to build off Saturday. You don't live off of it.
Right. And last week, Coach Grant was in here and we told us for the Georgia State game, if we could just fix the mistakes that we had the first time around when we played them, that we're going to win this game, and that's what happened. Is the same thing going to hold true for this Lafayette game?
It is. When we played Lafayette here, we didn't hit shots.
Right.
And our team, is that we feel like a lot of our offense and a lot of our guys, they feed off making shots because they can't shoot the ball.
Right.
And we didn't do that the last time we were here. Now, the bad thing about that is that you never want to predicate, how you play on if you're hitting shots, because you can't control that. You can't control how many times that ball goes in. But, we didn't shoot the ball like we're capable of shooting. So, we hope that when we get there, we can make some shots like we did on Saturday. But then, defensively, just playing as a team and taking and preparing this week as we go forward.
And then looking a little past that, past the Lafayette game, you got South Alabama on Saturday, and that's going to be down in Mobile, and that's another big one against an in-state rival.
Yeah, and South Alabama had a big win at Western Kentucky on Saturday, so they're feeling some confidence as well. So it's not going to be an easy task. That's the thing about this league, is that this league is so good from top to bottom. South Alabama was, record-wise was at the bottom of the league. They go into Western Kentucky, who record-wise is at the top of the league, and they beat them. But they were up double digits most of the game. So it just shows you what this league, how good this league is that on any given night, anybody can beat anybody. Right. So, the road doesn't get any easier from here on out.
All right, Coach. Well, good luck as you hit the road, and hopefully you'll bring back 2 victories.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for joining. Our final look at Troy sports as we look at the baseball team after their opening series this weekend against Northern Kentucky, and we're going to speak with the pitching coach for the Trojans, Brad Phillips. And Coach, thanks for being here today.
I appreciate the invite.
And as I said, an opening series, not quite a sweep, 3-1 record over Northern Kentucky. Just what are your thoughts on the weekend?
Well, it was good to get going. We'd played each other for seemed like 2 years, but just to play somebody in a different uniform and see the new guys get out in front of the Trojan faithful and see how they would react was definitely good to see. Would have loved to have 4, but it's always tough to complete a 4-game sweep. That was our expectation, but it is what it is, and we'll move on. But I'm very happy to get out of there with three wins for sure.
Now, you being the pitching coach, I'm sure you had your eyes mostly on the pitchers. So what did you see out of those guys this weekend?
Well, we got our 2 guys back with Hicks and McCain on the mound, see all the hard work that they have put in the offseason. Saw a couple of guys coming off injury, Ben Tidwell, Will Starling. It was great to see those guys get back on the mound, and a lot of hard work, a lot of time, effort, rehab to get those guys back, and very pleased with where they ended up beginning the season at. And saw some other guys, some role guys that were able to compete, did what they needed to do, getting their feet wet in the 2014 season. And then we had 2 freshmen that also were able to get some valuable experience in the first weekend. So overall, I think that we were able to accomplish on a pitching staff what we had set out to do.
Now, also, just looking at the bats, some guys really stood out. David Hall had a great weekend, Kyle Brown, Trevin Hall, and then you had Joel Bennett on Sunday with the 3 home run game. So some guys really stepped out and performed pretty well.
Well, you know, offense in this program is there's no stranger to that.
Right.
So, you know, that's what this program is built on. And losing the RBIs, the doubles, the home runs, the batting average that we did on the guys that left last year, we thought was going to be a challenge to replace, and you know, I believe the staff was very walks away with the weekend with a little more confidence of what our guys are able to do with the bat, because they showed that they're able to fill in those spots very nicely, and they were very productive on the weekend, and you know, that's just the beginning for those guys.
Right. And now let's take a look ahead at this weekend. You're going to be home again, another 4-game series against Central Michigan, who came in just a couple of years ago. So y'all are pretty familiar with what they're going to do, but what can we expect out of the Chippewas?
They're going to bring in a good, solid, fundamentally sound team, and they're going to pitch. They've always been able to pitch. Right. Offensively, they like to create a little offense. They run, bunt, do some things to create some things offensively. But it's going to be a tough team. They did go take a 4-game sweep. I'm sorry, they got swept 4 games at UNLV this past weekend. So they're going to come into Troy, you know, ready to end that streak, and having to fly across country back on 4 losses, I'm sure they're not going to be very happy coming in here. So we got our work cut out for us. And again, another tough 4-game series.
And it all sets up the same, Friday night, 6 o'clock, doubleheader Saturday starting at 1, and then a Sunday finale at 1 o'clock?
Correct. Times will be the same, and we look forward to having good crowds out this weekend.
Right, just like last weekend, it should be good weather again. So hopefully y'all will get a few more victories, hopefully a sweep.
That sounds good to me.
All right, good luck, and see you again soon.
Appreciate it, John.
So join us again next week for more on It's Tea Time.